Hi everyone, this is Heather from Heather Active, and today we're going to go through some of the most common mistakes I've seen as an indoor rowing instructor over the last 5 years. I've taught people who are brand new to rowing as well as very experienced rowers, so I want to take you through what those mistakes are so you can avoid them, especially if you're a beginner. And if no one's taught you how to row before, then I want to make sure you're getting the most out of your workout on the machine as well as avoiding injury. So we're going to work our way down from the top of the head all the way down to our feet to go through what are some of those common mistakes. So starting up with that head and neck, a very common mistake that I'll see is that people will look up, or they might stick their neck out, bring their chin out forwards, or they might look to one side or the other. So what we want to do instead is make sure we're sitting up nice and tall and we have that nice long line from the top of the head down through the spine throughout the stroke. So really thinking about moving that head in alignment with especially your thoracic spine throughout the stroke is super important. Now, it's totally makes sense. Sometimes if you're in a room with mirrors, you might want to take a little peek off to the side to see what you look like. That's not the end of the world. But I will say from when I first started instructing, I wanted to be rowing and looking at my class at the same time. And I was constantly turning my head and my neck would really hurt after that. So you're kind of putting a lot of load on it. So the best you can to look straight in front of you throughout the stroke. And again, keeping that long line. From there, we're going to work our way down to the shoulders next. So shoulders, this one, most common mistake I'll see is in that stroke, what people will do is either they'll reach too far forwards, and then what you're doing here is, again, you're putting a lot of flexion into your back. It's not the end of the world to have a bit of flexion, especially at the front of the stroke, but if you're holding that position, you're not really getting much out of that. This is going to tie into your back position that we'll get into later. When you come to the back of the stroke, what a lot of people will do when they're new is that when they pull the handle in, they'll lift their shoulders up towards their ears. And so we want to avoid that, keeping the shoulders down away from the ears, focusing on protracting and retracting through the shoulder blades in that stroke. So again, squeezing the shoulder blades together at the back. That's the focus here, not lifting the shoulders up to your ears. Now, working our way down to the arms. So common mistake here with the arms is that people will bring the handle in and they'll lift those elbows out super high, or they'll bring them in super narrow. What we want instead is a nice happy medium in between. So again, you can get that nice retraction in your shoulder blades. So from here, the other common mistake I see in the hand position is people will take their hands in too close to each other in the stroke. What you want is to take the hands out to the outer edges and have your pinkies on the outer edge. The other thing I'll see some people will do is they'll have their thumbs on top, or you can have your thumbs on the bottom. Personally, I don't have a super strong preference. This one, it's not a mistake, but up to you as you're working on your grip strength, which one you choose. So that's more of just an FYI to think about what position you have your thumbs, either over or under that handlebar. I usually prefer under personally. Now, we did shoulders, arms, hands. Let's look at the chest here. So the chest, we're thinking about the placement of the handlebar when we finish the stroke. So when we bring that handlebar in, it should be coming in just below your chest. Common mistake I'll see, and this kind of ties in with the shoulders lifting, people will bring that handlebar almost up to their neck sometimes, which is not great, or they might bring it super low down to their hips. So when you look at this long strap here, it should be going roughly straight forward and back, which means that handle has to come in towards your chest. Now, the other thing we'll talk about here when we're talking about the chest is breathing. So common mistake, people don't breathe when they're rowing, so that's not great. When you think about breathing in the stroke, we think about exhale on the effort. So exhale as you push back, and then inhale on the recovery as you go back in. So exhaling back and inhaling in. Good. All right, now working our way back down, now into the core and the back. So core includes your back here. Common mistake I'll see with the core, people come to the back of the stroke and they either go way too far back or they don't go back at all. So we're thinking about hinging at the hips. You're using your core strength to help you hinge back. You don't want to go past a 45-degree mark here. So when you're hinging back, again, 45 degrees would be the max you'd want to go without putting too much pressure on that low back. If this is uncomfortable and you're just getting into this, don't worry about it. I'd rather you be sitting up a little taller versus going way too far back. So again, 45 degrees is the mark here. Now, when you're in this position, hinging back, the temptation here is for your abs to dome in front of you. So you can see a little bit here of doming, but the difference is we want to pull that belly button in towards the spine. We're knitting the ribs in together. So it's almost like you're pressing those low abs down as you come to the back versus sticking them out. All right, now again, hips here, we already talked about, we're flexing through the hips and then we're extending as we hinge back. So again, the kind of common mistake here is, again, if you're not hinging enough or you're hinging too much, and then that causes other problems. All right, working our way down to the legs. This is probably where I see the most mistakes with people who are new to rowing, and that's in if their legs are parallel to each other throughout the stroke. Very commonly, people will knock their knees in together or splay them apart. Both are not ideal in terms of getting the maximum power, but then also working muscles and compensating for things that you don't necessarily want to do. What you can do to train that, if you're finding that this is happening to you either way, is put a block in between your knees that keeps those legs nice and parallel to each other, hip distance apart, and then just push forward and back using that block to train up those glute and leg muscles to keep you in the right position. Now looking down to our feet and our ankles, common mistake I'll see here is with the strap. If it's too loose, you're going to start lifting up the feet off of the foot pads here, which we don't want. So you want these over the widest part of your shoe and tight enough, not super tight, but you can have a little bit of movement, that's fine, but not so much that the balls of your feet are lifting up off the foot pad. The other thing here is that some people will keep their heels down throughout the entire stroke, which again, it's not the end of the world, but you are limiting your range a little bit when you do that. So just look at the difference. If I keep my heels down, I can reach to about here. I push back and I come back in. If I allow my heels to lift up, I can get a little bit farther forward. I can really press into my heels as they drive back, and I just get that bigger range of motion and more power as I really drive into the heels. So we've worked our way down. Let's just one quick recap, putting the pieces together. What should that stroke look like? It's really, if you can remember legs, core, and arms, core, legs, then you're already in a good spot. So we think about legs, core, arms, core, legs. That is one mistake that I do see pretty often, is when people come back in, they, instead of reaching their arms first, they keep their arms in, they hinge forward and start bending their knees. And then you have to do this awkward thing where you lift the handles up over your knees. So we're trying to avoid that. So again, legs, core, arms, core, legs. Once you do that, the handles are always in front of those knees, so you don't have to move the handle up or down. So with that, I hope it was helpful for you. I'm planning to make some rowing workout videos soon, but I wanted to start off with a rowing form tutorial, which I'll link here, as well as some of these common mistakes, so that you can feel confident as you start your indoor rowing journey as to how to do proper form. Make sure you comment below if you have questions, like this video, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.